Hello, welcome back to the diner for this edition of Burgers and Fries, this podcast where we just talk about anything we really want to talk about. So it's just going to be me and Greg, aka Thriller Wolf, this edition. But we decided let's talk about, Greg, WTF is going on with Disney Star Wars?
Well, they seem to be trying to make the new Star Wars sequel trilogy with starring Rey called Star Wars The New Republic or something like that.
Is it going to be a trilogy or is it going to be just a standalone movie? Do you know?
A trilogy.
It's going to be a trilogy. Oh, good God. Really? Ugh. I remember it was a while ago when they were announcing, we're going to do a trilogy directed by Rian Johnson. And then once The Last Jedi's critical response happened, or the fan response to The Last Jedi happened, pretty much said, nah, we're not going to have you direct a trilogy. Or there just doesn't seem to be anything confirmed with what Disney's going to be doing. You're saying that they're going to be directing a new trilogy, and who's going to be directing this?
Some Middle Eastern woman. I forgot what her name was, but as I do recall, she is not perfect for the directing part.
Right. And Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy, if we pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. You look her up, and the things that you find out about it is she's a journalist activist. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. If you are an activist, you're good at what you do, you want to raise awareness for inequality or injustices, fantastic. But is that really ideal for Star Wars?
Hell no.
No, not at all. So we're going to definitely be talking about this. So before we go over that, did you ever watch the Disney trilogy?
Yes.
You're like, unfortunately, I did. So what were your initial thoughts on the Disney trilogy as it happened?
Well, for the first one, The Force Awakens, well, I thought it was all right. Then we get to The Last Jedi, which is terrible. And for The Rise of Skywalker, and well, I'll put it this way, I'm not kidding. There was one point where I think it was in the middle of the movie. I really wanted to walk out of there.
I don't blame you. I was okay with The Force Awakens. The Last Jedi, I genuinely walked out thinking, what the hell was that? And then The Rise of Skywalker, I'm thinking, okay, maybe that was a decent episode 8. Okay, now give me the real episode 9. Like, what do we got here? So we obviously didn't care too much for the Disney trilogy, and we understand the Disney trilogy has its fans. You are allowed to like what you like. If you like The Last Jedi, you have the power to like it. There's people who absolutely loved The Last Jedi, but then they hate Rise of Skywalker, and then vice versa. So did you hear, Greg, that there were rumors about this Rey movie, or trilogy, as you might be putting it, being delayed indefinitely? Have you heard about this?
Yes, and now I kind of heard that, that was just a rumor or something.
That's what I've heard too. You have spokespeople for Lucasfilm or Disney saying, nope, that's not accurate, it's still happening, or whatever. Now, do you know when this Rey movie thing was announced, Greg?
I think about 2 years ago or something, or maybe last year.
So the Rey movie, as we're going to call it, was announced as far back as April of 2023, so 8 months ago. And even the movie's director, Charmaine Obaid-Chinoy, was also announced as far back as that day. And this is supposed to be released in 2026 as of this recording. But last I checked, there hasn't even been a screenplay that has been approved. I keep hearing rumors that there has been scriptwriters quitting or being laid off, etc., over quote-unquote creative differences. And, of course, who are they going to blame on this?
The men.
They'll blame the men, but you know who more sane people are going to blame?
Let me guess. Kathleen Kennedy?
That's right, because of her track record ever since taking over Lucasfilm. Now, again, this announcement was 8 months ago, so why are people now drawing attention to this Rey movie? Or like, why are people now suddenly hearing about it and be like, what the fuck? Why is this happening?
Because from what I recall, that Rey is going to get pregnant in the new sequel trilogy.
What's the what? Where did you hear this?
And well, I can put it this way, I think I recall seeing pictures of it.
Oh, good. What? Oh my
And
God.
and the way she's gonna get pregnant is without Raylo and all that.
I think the NDAs have been expiring, so now they're kind of saying, Adam Driver is saying, no, what they went with my character was not what I had envisioned. That's not what I wanted to do. And no, so they basically took out all the Raylo shit. And not that it needed to exist to begin with, because Raylo is just stupid fan fiction at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Truthfully, I think Daisy Ridley, I think she was just as disappointed in Disney Star Wars as all of the other actors who've come out. Like John Boyega has said he's done with Star Wars. Oscar Isaac doesn't give a shit anymore. Adam Driver, as we know.
What about Kelly Marie Tran?
It wasn't her fault.
I know that.
There's nothing wrong with Kelly Marie Tran as a person or as an actress. It was just what she was given just pissed off a lot of people, and it's an unfortunate thing that happened to her. There's that whole other can of worms. Like, oh no, they were trying to appeal to the Asian market. Turns out Chinese people don't like Vietnamese people. Who knew? Now, I think for Daisy Ridley to come back, I heard that there's supposedly an asking price of $12.5 million. So this is more than what she normally asks for, or like more than her usual rate or whatever. But yeah, I think she was even so disappointed in the Star Wars thing that, hey, for her to come back, she just at least gets a payday for it. And hey, power to her for that.
Uh-huh. And also, is it just me, or does Daisy really kind of look like Kathleen Kennedy in a way?
Maybe so. Or what Kathleen Kennedy wished she still looked like.
In other words, Ray looks like Kathleen Kennedy herself.
Who are you? I'm Ray. Ray who? Ray Kennedy. Now, if Daisy Ridley is getting $12.5 million for this movie or this trilogy, that's more than what Mark Hamill got for playing Luke Skywalker.
Uh-huh.
But again, I'm not against her getting a payday. I really don't care about that part. But as it is right now, you have a lot of fans just totally divided over the sequel trilogy and Star Wars, as we already mentioned.
Yeah.
Each movie's box office return just got progressively worse. Solo was considered a box office bomb.
Oh, yeah.
And did you ever watch The Mandalorian at all?
Well, I heard it's good. Well, I don't have Disney Plus and all that.
Oh, there's ways to do it. I tried watching the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. I haven't gotten quite into it, but I have seen the other Star Wars shows that came out, like Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. But, The Mandalorian had renewed support, but then that went out the window after the Gina Carano controversy. Oh, don't say her name.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Heck, I do recall that, she's supposed to be going to Vancouver for a fan expo. You got people saying that, we need to sign a petition to get rid of her and all that.
Jesus Christ.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, and then I think there was a lot of people that fell off after season 3 because of stuff that happened in season 3, especially Lizzo and Jack Black appearing in The Mandalorian.
And what was Lizzo there for? To be the new Boba Fett?
Lizzo? No, to be the new Jabba the Hutt.
Oh. Yeah, that's what I was
Oh, good God. And then you didn't see the Obi-Wan show, but I did, and it was a bait and switch. They think, oh, it's going to be about Obi-Wan and Kid Luke, and it's going to have Hayden Christensen back as Darth Vader. Nope. You get a little bit of Obi-Wan, but then it's actually more about Kid Leia and Reva, and it just completely breaks canon, this whole show, just for 1 or 2 amazing moments at all.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, they had the Ahsoka show, and then there's people that are divided about that, and I enjoyed it for what it was.
Even though I didn't watch it, but from what I recall, people pointing out, how can you survive being stabbed by a lightsaber?
Yeah, how can this untrained person, this person who was not trained in the Force, survive being stabbed by a lightsaber wound in the stomach, but yet Qui-Gon Jinn, a Jedi Master, can't survive it?
Uh-huh.
And I liked parts of it. I mean, I liked that we got a female lightsaber duel. There was a lot of good stuff in that show. And the funny thing is that nearly 20 years ago, remember how people used to ridicule Hayden Christensen as Anakin, right? But now that the sequel trilogy came out, now that Disney has been putting their stuff out, Every time Hayden Christensen makes an appearance in the new Disney shows, people are cheering and throwing babies in the air.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be that bad if that stuff that was panned 20 years ago by a lot of people seems to be looked back more fondly now. It's amazing. So It's been very obvious that the market has been showing people don't care about Rey. They don't care about Rose Tico. They don't care about any of the recent female characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, Greg. Rey is such a popular character that you can't even give away her action figures. Nobody wants them. There's tons and tons of Disney Star Wars action figures rotting on the shelves in the bargain bins at discount store. From The Force Awakens and Last Jedi. From 8 to 10 years ago, those figures are still rotting on the shelves.
Yep. Even when I go to Target, I can still see some of the Star Wars stuff that's never been sold yet.
You have the market clearly showing nobody wants this anymore. Nobody wants to buy the ticket. Nobody wants your merchandise anymore. Nobody wants to go to Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland or Disney World. Nobody wants to do the Star Wars Hotel based off the Disney sequel trilogy. And yet still, Disney and Lucasfilm think it's a good idea to pay Daisy Ridley an 8-figure salary just so they can say, oh, it's 2024 and it's about time we have a woman come forward and shape the galaxy far, far away.
Oh, brother.
It's the stupid, it's time for Demographic X to do arbitrary thing because current year argument. Ugh. Look, can we understand the argument that male directors have ruined Star Wars movies? I mean, the entire sequel trilogy was directed by men.
Yep.
Do we really care if there's a woman director?
No.
Not at all. What would we rather have as a woman director, though?
Someone that has experience with different types of movies and all that.
Someone that has experience with sci-fi. Somebody that has experience working with sci-fi. Somebody that's qualified for that. You know, have somebody that's a fan of of Star Wars. Have somebody that wants to respect the lore and fandom and knows what they're doing to take on something like Star Wars.
Yep.
I mean, what if it's somebody that worked under Jon Favreau? What if somebody that worked with Kevin Feige? Say what you will about them, or say what you will about Dave Filoni. But if there was a woman that worked with them, well, maybe they would know what they're doing.
There are good female directors, and there are bad female directors. One I can actually think about that directed Thomas and the Magic Railroad and all that. Well, the reason why I'm giving her a break and all that because, well, before the movie was released, she was forced to change a lot of things about that film, and well, it flopped at the box office.
Yeah, that's another thing. And then a lot of the changes that were made in the sequel trilogy were done because of Kathleen Kennedy.
Well, you got someone like Elizabeth Banks when she directed her Charlie's Angels movie. She said, "Oh, to all you men out there, don't go watch this film. It wasn't meant for you." It bombed, and after that, Banks said, "Oh, why are men seeing this movie?"
That seems to be a growing trend, isn't it? The thing that is wrong about that statement that Charmin Obaid Chinoy said is that she seems to be conveniently forgetting that the last 4 out of 5 Star Wars movies having been released by Disney, what have they had?
Failures after failures.
Well, besides that.
Directed by a woman?
No. Female lead protagonists.
Oh, yeah.
The entire sequel trilogy was about a woman character, an overpowered women character, but still. We've had the Ahsoka show, we've had Obi-Wan bait and switch, we've had plenty of female writers, producers, directors, and stars of TV shows and video games in recent releases. For example, Bryce Dallas Howard, she directed a couple episodes of The Mandalorian, which were well received. And hell, even the very first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, was practically saved by George Lucas' wife at the time in the editing room.
How?
Oh, you got to look this up. Like, the original edit for Star Wars would not have won the Oscar for best editing. There is a YouTube video that's out there that shows you how editing saved Star Wars. Who has been the woman that has been overseeing all of what's been going on in Star Wars the last 10 years?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Bingo. So if people understand that women have played a huge role in Star Wars for as long as it's been around, I think they're just fed up with the perceived bigger push of women, or that shallow forces female gimmick, right?
Yes.
Would you think that some people are thinking that this is just far left chick tracks overload?
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about our good old girl Charmaine, shall we?
Well, the only thing I ever heard about her was, well, when she said the whole about, oh, I just like to make men uncomfortable and all that.
That just seems to be making the rounds, doesn't it? And we'll get to that. So we already mentioned that she's a journalist and a documentary filmmaker. She's not a sci-fi director. Oh, but she's done some sci-fi stuff. She directed 2 episodes of Miss Marvel. You mean a show that nobody fucking watched?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
honestly, I think it's just kind of like an activist trying to do something to stir things up.
okay, fair enough statement to say. But the thing I learned about this is that it's actually a quote that she said many, many years earlier. And it actually has nothing to do with Star Wars or male fans of Star Wars. She was talking about her documentary work exposing the practice of honor killings in Pakistan and the men who think it's okay to murder women for the crime of being assaulted by other men.
Eesh.
That comment, that quote, actually has some good merit behind it. It actually has nothing to do. So any sane person, when they know the context, should be thinking, okay, yeah, right on. You're okay, fine. Our good old girl Charmaine has won 2 Academy Awards for her documentary work on this stuff. So you want to make awareness of plight of women in Pakistani culture? Fantastic. But is it for Star Wars?
Hell no.
No. So most people, when they see a sci-fi movie, they want all that activist bullshit out the window when they want to escape for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to get some closing thoughts here. And of course, you get the whole thing of, well, oh no, we need more female representation and women fans of Star Wars. What do you think about that, Greg?
There are already women fans of Star Wars already.
Exactly. There were already a lot of women fans of Star Wars before Kathleen Kennedy took over. And guess what? Women aren't buying your shitty product anymore, Kathleen Kennedy. The women don't care about Rey. Where's all the little girls with the Rey action figures? No, wait, the Rey action figures are still in the bargain bins.
Yep.
They really have to stop this sexist narrative that only men like Star Wars until recently. Bullshit. I grew up in the 90s. My sister loved Star Wars. My mother went and saw Star Wars the years that they came out. She has very fond memories of hearing people clap when the Millennium Falcon escaped the Star Destroyers, and remembers when everybody had to keep the secret when they saw Empire Strikes Back. Women loved Star Wars. They loved characters like Mara Jade in the extended universe from before Disney took all that over.
Yep.
So this is it's a shallow sexist narrative when they keep doing this. So if you want to have a woman director, even a woman of color directing it, then just have someone who's qualified, not an activist journalist whose skills are best suited for other types of film. So any closing thoughts before I'm going to give my last few paragraphs?
Kathleen Kennedy's a cunt.
Oh, I think a lot of people would agree with that. And look, it doesn't matter who directs it, whether it's a man or woman. Okay. Would you agree, Greg? All we want are just good, well-written characters, not agenda-driven, Mary Sue, shallow, one-dimensional characters that are just there to make men look like idiots?
Yes.
But perception is reality. So what do you think is happening? I think Disney has just shot themselves in the foot again. Because now they're just telling dudes, oh, don't watch the movie. We want to make dudes uncomfortable. And then what's going to happen, Greg?
It's going to flop at the box office, as usual.
And then they're going to wonder why nobody came to watch the movie. Where's all the men watching the movie? You told them not to come.
Oh, yeah.
So if you enjoyed this conversation that we had and would like to hear more of us, please like and subscribe. If you want to talk to myself directly, there are links in the description to our Discord server below. I'm Desert Coyote 22. Thanks for listening, and the diner is closed.